Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of SLAPP. It's so nice to be with you, and a big welcome from myself, Jess, Pat behind the camera, and of course Pete, who's directing in the control room. Tonight's topic is a very interesting one, and obviously one that is close to my heart. And the topic that we've chosen for tonight is wildlife filmmaking. What is acceptable? Now, it's a very hot topic. People have been talking about the ethics involved with engagement with wild animals and how we capture images for our own entertainment for many years. And we're going to delve a little bit further into that tonight. And I'm going to start off with a quote from one of our viewers, and thank you to all of you that participated in this debate. I'm going to start with something that Lisa Selby wrote to me about, and she says, "More and more wildlife hosts and filmmakers are taking greater risks and doing, quite honestly, more stupid things that are unsafe, oftentimes more intrusive into animals' lives and habitats, to satisfy viewers and networks and advertisers. This attitude has to change. Nature is not here to entertain us. It is here to inspire and humble us." And Lisa, thank you so much for that. You wrote to me with such wonderful feedback. I just felt I had to share that with the rest of the viewers because it was very poignant. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this topic tonight, I wanted to first delve back into the history of filmmaking so that we understand where we've come from and ultimately where we are heading to. Now, documentaries as we know them didn't actually exist until some brothers by the name of Lumiere brothers set up a camera outside a factory and filmed the workers leaving there after their first day shift. And this was filmed back in 1895. And when they did a screening of this particular show, everybody loved it. It was the first time that they'd seen living interactions on film. And this response basically led to other filmmakers diversifying and experimenting with the technology that they had on hand. And the first, well, what is considered the first real documentary that was made was by a gentleman by the name of Robert Flaherty. And in 1922, he released a film called Nanook of the North, which was about Inuit people living their lives in the region of the world where they live, and doing things like hunting animals and building igloos. This film had a massive impact on audiences worldwide, and the reason for this was because nothing of this type of thing had ever been seen before. Now, even back then in 1922, Robert Flaherty staged certain aspects of his film, and one of these things that he faked was a walrus hunt, because in 1922 the Inuit people at that time had access to guns. They preferred using guns to put meat on the table. It was far less dangerous, and Flaherty insisted that the actors in this movie actually hunted the walruses with spears, because he knew that it would be far more entertaining and engaging with an element of risk, and this would entice viewers. So here we come now to modern times and modern filmmaking, and the question I'm asking you tonight is, has very much changed? And in my opinion, some things have and some things haven't, but we are certainly in a better position today to handle wildlife filmmaking in an appropriate and ethical way. Now, I want to thank specific members of the audience tonight for all of your input and feedback. Patty Mulligan, Caroline Leishan, our very own Leishan, Mike Williamson, Beverly Bailey, and many others that I'm not able to mention for time constraints, because you all came back to me with such wonderful and valid points. Now, films about conservation and wildlife are important. The reason being that it's through modern technology such as the internet, which we are using now, and television, it's a means of communication. And to combat some of the problems that we have in this world, or to make environmental issues known, we have to use every tool at our disposal. But at what expense? Because at the end of the day, television, whether it's wildlife or not, is an entertainment industry and it is a money-generating business. Now, without further ado, I'm going to show you our first clip, which will introduce some of the aspects that I'm wanting to touch on today, i.e. what is acceptable and what is not. And viewers, I'm going to ask you now to watch this clip very closely and to immediately start sending us in your comments as to whether or not you think this particular example is appropriate. Now, at the end of the show, I'll be putting extended links onto the website for you so that you can see these clips in their entirety. Due to time constraints, we're not able to show you these things full length. So, without further ado, Pete, director and control, could we please have the first clip of Mad Mike and the Lions? Now, as you can see, there's a film crew. These particular gentlemen are called Mad Mike and Mark, and they have a reputation for engaging in wildlife on a level that people would never normally engage with. And in this example, as you can see, Mike is crawling through the African veldt. They have found a pride of lions that is resting underneath the tree, and he is attempting to engage with them to see what their reactions are and to see, I think, essentially how far he can push it. Now, these guys have been in the bush a long time. They're not just fly-by-night individuals hoping to get it right, but they are still taking a risk. Here you can see the lion approaching Mike. Very much a risky business. Do you viewers think that this type of interaction is acceptable? Because it definitely makes for good entertainment. This is the type of risk that filmmakers do not ordinarily take, and as a result it has a high viewership rating. I think that lion looks very perplexed with regards to exactly what Mike is. And when I give you the links for these clips at the end of the show, please do watch it in its entirety. Because it does put what he's doing here into some sort of context. It's a bit unfair of me just to comment on this bluntly without giving you the chance to enter into the debate knowing all the facts. And you can see Mike's really taking a chance. This type of provocation is something that has raised the hackles of numerous, not only animal rights organizations, but also filmmakers. Because even amongst the filmmaking fraternity, people are not necessarily seeing this as the right path to follow. Immediately the comments are coming in. Kathy, what do they have for brains? And the original Kim J, nice to have you with us again. These guys need to become lunch. Barbie, sorry, I've just lost another comment there. Barbie Brayley saying straight up, it's wrong. G. Jissy, sorry, I think I've pronounced it incorrectly, but no, this is not okay, never. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to basically be the cat amongst the pigeons here, because I'm going to be posing you some very, very strong questions, and I'd really like your feedback on this. Why is it wrong to do this? It basically links back to the factors that I mentioned earlier. Wildlife filmmaking is television. Television is money, and these are not. And if I can actually refer back to the tragic death of Steve Irwin, Steve Irwin definitely had his critics, but he also had his fans, because like Mad Mike and Mark, you know, he was one of the guys that was prepared to go out there and to take risks and engage with certain aspects of wildlife that have never before been seen or never before experienced. I think people respond well to things like Mad Mike and Mark because it is something that people would never be able to, or not necessarily be able to do, but would not want to do. But it is thrilling to watch somebody else do this. The question I'd like to pose to you, again referring to the Mad Mike and Mark clip, is he's engaging with the lions in a very risky manner. But are those animals being put at risk? If it is wrong, then what is wrong about it? Is it merely the fact that he is engaging with them on such a risky level that is wrong? Or is it wrong because we feel in our